The rumors and the laughing council. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with noise. Bright lights hung from the ceiling, and the walls shimmered with a blue glow. Leaders of many alien empires sat on floating chairs, their faces full of pride and arrogance. Today, like many times before, the council had gathered to discuss one thing. The humans. High Chancellor Vorax, a tall, scaly creature with glowing red eyes, slammed his clawed hand on the table. Humans! He scoffed, his voice deep and cruel. What a weak little species. A primitive race sitting on a tiny blue planet. The chamber burst into laughter. Thick-bodied Graxians, winged Silurians, and shadowy beings from the Keth Collective all chuckled and made jokes. For years, the galaxy had looked down on humanity. No one feared them. No one respected them. The humans were known as a small, reckless race who barely managed to survive in the harsh galaxy that an old, one-eyed alien general named Orlan sat quietly in a corner. He had fought many wars and seen things others could not imagine. Orlan frowned as the laughter continued. Mark my words, he muttered, his voice low but steady. Underestimating humans will be the galaxy's greatest mistake. Nobody paid attention. Suddenly, the heavy chamber doors burst open with a loud hiss. A young alien scout, pale and shaking, rushed inside. His breathing was heavy and his eyes wide with terror. The room fell silent. Scout Relvin, Chancellor Vorax growled. You dare interrupt the council? Relvin dropped to his knees. I begged forgiveness, High Chancellor, he stammered. But I bring news, terrible news. The council members exchanged amused glances. What is it now? Snorted Ami, Zellorian noble. Another human ship with outdated weapons? Relvin shook his head. No, my lords. I saw something in the dead zone. At the mention of the dead zone, a hush fell over the room. The dead zone was a forgotten part of space, abandoned by the galaxy long ago. No one went there. Ships vanished. Signals were lost. It was a cursed place. What did you see? Orlan asked, his single eye narrowing. Relvin swallowed hard. A shadow, bigger than any ship I've ever seen. It blocked the stars. It was a planet, but it moved, and it was armed. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then, once again, the council erupted in laughter. A moving planet? A Graxian general chuckled. Are you drunk, Scout? Humans don't have the technology for such things, laughed a Keth emissary. They build scrap ships and call them fleets. Relvin pulled out a small device. I recorded it. See for yourself. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared. In the middle of the chamber. At first, it showed empty space. Then, the stars flickered, and a massive dark shape moved slowly across the screen. For a brief moment, weapons lined its surface, and bright energy lines glowed like rivers of fire. A few council members leaned forward, their smiles fading. Then the image glitched and disappeared. The silence that followed was heavy. Some council members shifted in their seats. Others looked uneasy. Chancellor Vorax's face twitched with annoyance. A trick, he spat. A clever human lie. General Orlan stood up. I warned you before. Humans may be small, but they are clever. They hide their strength, and when they strike hard. No, Vorax barked. They are nothing. Their planet is weak, their ships are weak, and their people are fools. Before anyone could respond, a second scout stumbled into the chamber. His clothes were torn, and blood dripped from his forehead. There, coming, he gasped, falling to his knees. The humans. They're coming. The room exploded in noise. Shouts, curses, and panicked questions filled the air. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council felt fear. What do you mean coming? A Graxian commander demanded. The wounded scout lifted his head. I saw them, planet-sized ships, moving through the dead zone. They destroyed an entire fleet in seconds. Nothing survived. They're headed this way. General Orlund grinned, his old face lighting up with dark satisfaction. I told you, the humans have returned, and they bring death with them. Vorex's voice shook as he shouted, Send the armada. Prepare every fleet. But it was too late. In the distance, across the cold, empty space of the dead zone, something enormous moved, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Asterisk, the forgotten dead zone far away from the shining lights of the Galactic Council. Beyond the crowded star systems and busy trade routes, there was a dark and silent region of space known as the Dead Zone. No one traveled there. The ancient records spoke of lost ships, strange signals, and massive energy storms that swallowed fleets whole. Most believed it was cursed. Others said monsters from before time itself still lived there. But one brave alien pilot was about to learn the truth. His name was Kale Turan, a scout from the Zarn Empire. Unlike others, Kale didn't believe in ghost stories. He believed in facts, and when strange reports of missing patrols and energy readings started to appear near the dead zone, he decided to see for himself. His small ship, the Star Hunter, slipped into the darkness. The stars around him grew dim. The space was thick, cold, and heavy, as if something unseen was watching. Kale checked his scanners. Nothing, he muttered to himself. Just old stories. But then, a strange signal appeared. A pulse of energy, strong and steady, coming from deep inside the dead zone. It wasn't natural. It wasn't a star. And it wasn't from any empire Kale knew. His heart pounded. He changed course and followed the signal. Minutes later, debris floated past his ship. Shattered metal. Burned out. Wreckage. He scanned it and gasped. These were the remains of a Keth battleship, one of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. It had been torn apart as if crushed by a giant hand. Kale's hands shook. Impossible. More wreckage appeared, broken alien ships, their metal hulls melted like wax. Scorch marks larger than cities covered the ruins. Then the sensors screamed. Warning. Object of unknown size approaching. Kale spun his ship around and stared through the window. At first, it looked like a planet, a round, dark shape far in the distance. But planets didn't move, and they didn't hum with deadly energy. As it came closer, Kale saw weapons. Huge cannons the size of mountains. Glowing lines of energy that ran like rivers across its surface. The surface wasn't made of rock. It was pure metal. His mouth went dry. What is this? The warship slowly turned. A single bright light, like a giant eye, aimed directly at him. Kale tried to move. He pushed every button, every control. Come on. But it was too late. A beam of light shot out from the warship. It didn't explode. It didn't roar. It was silent, clean, and terrifying. The Star Hunter vanished, instantly. Back in the Galactic Council, the last message Kale sent flashed across a screen. It's a planet? No, it's alive. It's firing, then nothing. The council chamber erupted in fear. Generals shouted, ministers panicked, and ships were ordered to retreat from the dead zone. But it was already too late, because the humans had returned, and they weren't alone. A dozen more energy signals appeared in the dead zone, massive planet-sized. Warships, moving as one, like silent hunters. From secret bases buried deep in asteroids, the human commanders watched. On board the largest warship, called the Dominion, a human officer named Commander Rain Carter smiled coldly. His blue eyes gleamed in the dim light. Status report, he said calmly. Alien scout ship neutralized, replied a crew member. multiple enemy fleets detected near the border. Awaiting orders, Rain nodded. Good. Begin Phase 1. Make them feel fear. The crew moved quickly, sending signals to the other giant ships. Slowly, like sleeping beasts awakening, the planet-sized warships moved toward the heart of the galaxy. For years, humanity had disappeared from the galaxy's view. The other species thought humans were finished, scattered, and powerless. But, while the galaxy laughed, humanity had built in secret. In the cold, dark dead zone, where no one dared go, they had created monsters. Not hundreds of small ships, but massive war machines. Titan-class warships, each one a city, a factory, and a weapon rolled into one. Now, they would remind the galaxy what it meant to fear. Rain looked out at the stars and whispered, "You? Laughed at us. Let's see you laugh now." In the distance, another alien fleet vanished in a flash of light, and the galaxy would soon burn. Asterisk. Humanity's secret weapon revealed many years before the galaxy began laughing at humans. Earth was a different place. The humans had fought wars of their own. Nations battled over land, power, and resources. The planet was scarred, and humanity was tired. But when the first alien ships arrived in their skies, everything changed. At first, the galaxy welcomed humanity like a new child. The other species spoke kindly, offering trade and knowledge. But deep inside, they believed humans were weak, simple, and foolish. The advanced alien empires showed off their fleets and weapons, making sure Earth knew its place, and humans saw it all. They saw the arrogance, the lies, and the hidden threats. So humanity made a decision. They would disappear. One by one. Human. Colonies stopped responding to galactic messages. Earth grew silent. The galaxy believed humans had either gone extinct or fallen into chaos. But far beyond the reach of alien sensors, deep in the dark corners of space, humans were working. In the dead zone, a region no one dared enter, they built massive underground shipyards inside hollow asteroids and abandoned moons. The galaxy thought the dead zone was cursed, but for humanity, it was the perfect hiding place. Commander Rain Carter was one of the first to join the secret project, known only by one name, Operation Dominion. Decades passed. In those lost years, humans studied the alien weapons they once feared. They improved them, made them bigger, stronger, and faster. But their greatest creation was something no other species had ever dreamed of. The Titan-class warships. These weren't ships. They were floating fortresses. Moving planets made entirely of metal, armed with thousands of cannons, energy beam weapons, and shield systems powerful enough to withstand entire alien armadas. Each Titan warship carried millions of humans. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, and farmers. It was a city, a factory, and a battlefield all in one. And above them all stood the Dominion, the largest and deadliest of them all. On board the Dominion, Rain stood in front of a massive window, watching the distant stars. Behind him, dozens of officers worked silently at their stations. Screens displayed images of alien fleets gathering near the edge of the dead zone. Report. Rain ordered without turning. Enemy forces preparing to engage, a young officer replied. Graxian and Zilorian fleets detected, numbers increasing. Rain gave a small smile. They'll come in proud. They always do. He remembered the way the Galactic Council had laughed at humans. He remembered the day they demanded Earth surrender its weapons and bow to alien rule. But humans were not made to kneel. Far beneath the surface of the Dominion, weapons hummed to life. Cannons the size of mountains extended from hidden ports. Energy cores powered up, sending blue lightning dancing across the ship's surface. Hundreds of fighter ships, sleek and deadly, prepared for launch. On nearby Titan-class warships, Similar preparations began. Commander Ilara Voss, captain of the warship Iron Wrath, sent a message to Rain. "Ready for launch, sir." "All systems online?" Rain nodded. "Good. This galaxy forgot what fear feels like. Let's help them remember." In the far reaches of space, the alien fleets approached. Massive battleships, carriers, and cruisers moved into formation. The alien commanders were confident. Their fleets outnumbered the humans 100-1. They believed it would be a quick, easy victory, but they didn't know what was waiting for them. As the alien ships crossed into the dead zone, their scanners began to fail. Strange energy readings filled the air. Communication signals broke. "Apart, what's happening?" A Graxian general demanded. "Unclear," his officer replied. "Our sensors are being jammed." Then, without warning, space itself seemed to shift. One by one, the Titan warships appeared from the darkness. The alien crews stared in shock. They had never seen anything so large, so deadly, and so alive. The warships were like planets, each bristling with weapons, glowing with energy. "Impossible," an alien commander whispered. The Dominion's communication systems opened a channel to the alien fleet. Rain's calm, cold voice echoed through every ship. "This is Commander Rain, Carter of the Human Dominion Fleet. You have made your final mistake. Prepare yourselves." Before the aliens could respond, the sky lit up with the first wave of human fire. Beams of pure energy, thick as mountains, tore through the alien ships. Battleships exploded like fireworks. Energy shields collapsed. Entire fleets were wiped. Out in seconds, the alien commanders screamed orders to retreat, but there was nowhere to run. On the Dominion's bridge, Rain watched the battle without emotion. "Target the survivors," he said. And with a single-hand gesture, the massive cannons fired again. The galaxy's first taste of human wrath had begun. Asterisk the first strike, the galaxy had seen many wars. Entire planets had been burned and countless fleets shattered. But never before had it witnessed what was about to happen. The alien fleets approached the edge of the dead zone, proud and unafraid. Giant battleships from the Graxian Dominion, swift cruisers from the Zalorian Empire, and shadow-cloaked vessels from the Keth Collective formed a massive wall of ships that the commanders believed victory was certain. After all, it was only humans. They were facing weak, slow, and outnumbered. "Prepare for final approach," barked Admiral Threx, leader of the Graxian fleet. His blood-red eyes glinted with pride. "We will crush them like insects." But as the fleet crossed the invisible line into the dead zone, the darkness around them shifted. The stars seemed to vanish, and a strange, heavy silence filled the aired-out ships began to report strange readings. "Admiral, sensors aren't working. We've lost contact with the rear squadrons. Strange energy fields detected. It's everywhere," Admiral Threx growled. "It's a trick. Humans are cowards who hide in the dark. Keep moving." But before the words could fully leave his mouth, the first Titan-class warship appeared. The Iron Wrath emerged from the shadows like a metal mountain floating through space. Its surface was covered in weapon turrets, missile bays, and glowing energy lines. It was so large, it blocked out entire constellations. 1,000 alien crew members stared in shock. It's a planet." One whispered. Then a second. Warship appeared. Then a third. Then a fourth. Within moments, the entire horizon was filled with Titan-class warships. Each one armed, active, and aimed directly at the alien fleets. Panic swept through the alien ships. Fall back, shouted a Zalorian captain. Too late, came a cold voice over their communications. Commander Rain Carter appeared. On every screen, his face calm and his eyes unblinking. "This is the Dominion fleet. You invaded human space. You mocked us. Now, face judgment. Without another word, the Titan warships fired. Beams of pure white energy, thicker than mountains, lanced through space. The first Graxian battleship was hit directly in the center. It didn't explode. It simply vanished, turned into dust. Line of Zellorian cruisers tried to flee, but the Iron Wrath's side cannons unleashed a storm of missiles. They chased the fleeing ships, struck them down one by one, and left nothing behind. The Keth shadow ships attempted to cloak and disappear, but advanced human sensors locked onto them instantly, and precision beams cut them apart like paper dot in less than 2 minutes. Over 100 alien ships were gone. Admiral Threx's command ship shook violently as debris from his own fleet crashed against it. Impossible! He screamed. This can't be happening. But it was. The humans weren't fighting a desperate defense. They were delivering a message dot in a final act of pride. Admiral Threx ordered all remaining ships to fire everything they had. Missiles, plasma bolts, and energy blasts rained down upon the human warships. But the Titan-class shields held firm. The energy strikes, powerful enough to level planets, did nothing. The human ships absorbed the fire, their shields shimmering but never breaking. On board the Dominion, Commander Rain watched the battle unfold. Return fire, he ordered. The massive cannons recharged, their tips glowing with blinding blue. Light, a second volley fired. This time, it wasn't just beams. Enormous plasma torpedoes, the size of buildings, launched from the Dominion and its sister ships. Each one targeted a command ship, and within seconds, the remaining alien leaders were gone. What was once a proud fleet of alien warships was now a graveyard of floating wreckage. The galaxy's most powerful empires had just lost their finest fleets. Without scratching a single human ship, a cold silence fell over the battlefield. Then, one by one, distress signals from nearby colonies, stations, and outposts began to flood galactic channels. We surrender. Please spare us. We acknowledge humanity's rule. Fear spread faster than any fire. On board the burning remains of a Graxian outpost, a young officer sent one final message to his homeworld. They were right. We never should have laughed at the humans. On the Dominion's bridge, Rain gave a faint smile. Begin cleanup, he said, and prepare the next phase. Far in the distance, the remaining Titan warships turned toward the heart of the galaxy, and the universe understood one terrible truth. The age of the alien empires was over. The age of humanity had begun. Asterisk. Panic across the galaxy. The news of the battle spread like wildfire. Across every corner of the galaxy, from shining capital planets to dusty outposts, holoscreens flashed with urgent reports. Messages filled the airwaves. Reports of impossible destruction, entire fleets erased in seconds, and colossal human warships blocking out the stars. For generations, the galaxy had mocked humanity. Now, fear gripped every world dot in the Graxian Dominion. Chancellor Vorix paced in his war chamber, his sharp claws clicking against the floor. His usual cold smile was gone. Around him, his generals shouted, offering plans, excuses, and desperate orders. Deploy every ship we have. One roared, seal the borders. Another barked. Vorix slammed his fist on the table. Fools, he shouted. We sent our best ships. We sent thousands of warriors. And they were wiped out like insects. No one spoke after that. On Zelloria, Prime, the winged Zellorian queen, sat pale and trembling on her throne. Her advisors whispered urgently, but she could hardly hear them. Her beautiful golden world had always been untouched by war. The Zellorians believed themselves too clever, too advanced to be attacked. But then a message arrived. A single, short recording from a surviving scout ship dot. It showed a Titan-class warship slowly moving through space, its weapons systems glowing, its shields shimmering like a second sky. The final words of the scout chilled the entire court. "We can't stop them." The Queen covered her face with her wings, shaking. Across the galaxy, merchants abandoned trade routes. Smugglers fled into deep space. Colonies disconnected their signals, hoping to hide in silence. No one wanted to be next. Even the cruel and secretive Keth Collective, known for wiping out entire planets, began recalling its fleets. Their leaders, beings made of shadow and smoke, spoke quietly in dark rooms. The humans, they were watching us all along. Meanwhile, entire border worlds panicked. On the desert planet Morak, people gathered in the streets, staring up at the night sky. Stories of the warships had reached them, and fear hung heavy in the air. Parents held their children close. Soldiers checked weapons they knew wouldn't help. "Are they coming here?" a child asked. Voice trembling. An old man shook his head. "Not yet, but they will." On Earth's moon base, inside a dark command room, the human leaders watched the chaos unfold on their screens. Reports of alien empires begging for peace. Messages offering treaties, land, and riches. Entire regions surrendering before a single human warship arrived. Commander Rain Carter stood at the center, arms crossed. "They're breaking faster than expected," a young officer remarked. Rain didn't smile. "Feared is that," he said, "especially to those who think they can never be beaten." Behind them, a giant display showed the positions of human Titan warships as they moved through space. Colony after colony fell without a fight. Some alien governors even destroyed their own ships, hoping to avoid battle. A transmission request came through. "Message from the Galactic Council, sir." "Put it through." The council chamber appeared on the screen. The once proud and loud alien leaders now looked pale and silent. Chancellor Vorex was there, his eyes dark with defeat. "Commander Carter," Vorex spoke slowly, We wish to discuss peace." Rain said nothing. Vorex swallowed hard. We were wrong. We underestimated your people. We seek an agreement, a chance to rebuild relations." Rain stepped forward, his gaze cold as ice. "You mocked us. You hunted us. You believed we were weak. Now you come begging?" Vorex lowered his head. "The galaxy cannot survive this war." "Then you should have thought of that before you declared one," Rain replied. Silence filled the room. "We will offer anything," Vorex tried again. "Territories, technology, whatever you wish." Rain leaned closer to the screen. His words were quiet, but sharp as a blade. "I want your silence, your surrender, and your loyalty." The alien leaders exchanged nervous glances. "You have until the last Titan warship reaches your border," Rain finished. "Decide wisely." The transmission ended. Back on the Dominion, the crew prepared for the final phase. Humanity no longer needed to fight every battle. The galaxy was already falling into their hands. Fear had done what weapons alone never could dot in distant space. Another alien fleet surrendered without a shot. The human warships moved closer to the galactic core, unstoppable and calm. And throughout every star system, one terrible truth spread. Humanity had become the most feared force the galaxy had ever known. The new order the galaxy had changed. Once proud empires that ruled for thousands of years now whispered in fear. Streets that once echoed with the sound of marching alien soldiers now lay silent. Giant fleets that claimed to be invincible were nothing but wreckage drifting through the endless dark dot. At the center of it all was the Dominion, the largest Titan-class warship ever built. It floated near the galactic core, its surface alive, with light, weapons, and energy. Where it passed, resistance vanished. Worlds surrendered before even catching sight of it. On its bridge, Commander Rain Carter stood by the giant viewing window. The stars ahead seemed smaller now. The universe itself felt quieter, as if it too understood who truly held power. A young officer approached. "Sir, transmission from the Galactic Council. They've agreed to our terms." Rain turned, his face unreadable. "Good. Put them through." The massive holoscreen flickered on. The council chamber appeared, though it was no longer the proud, shining place it once was. Alien leaders sat slumped in their seats, their eyes downcast. Even Chancellor Vorax looked aged, his skin dull and his sharp teeth hidden behind pressed lips. "We acknowledge humanity's authority," Vorax said, his voice hollow. "The council is yours." A long silence followed. Rain finally spoke. "You have ruled this galaxy with arrogance and cruelty. You believed yourselves untouchable. You called us weak. You forgot that no force brighter than a species, fighting to survive." He stepped closer to the screen. "You didn't break us. You made us." The alien leaders said nothing. Their empires were gone, their fleets destroyed, their pride shattered dot across the galaxy. Changes happened swiftly. Human warships took control of key trade routes. Alien governors swore loyalty to Earth's new order. Laws were rewritten. Galactic borders redrawn. Some species tried to resist, in secret, believing they could spark rebellion. But everywhere they turned, a Titan-class warship waited dot on the planet Valor. A Keth resistance group attempted to attack a human outpost. Before they reached the gates, a single shot from the Iron Wrath vaporized them and half the mountain behind them. On Zeloria Prime, the Queen of the Silurians ordered her armies to stay hidden and avoid conflict. She sent rare jewels and ancient technology to the humans as gifts of peace. The message was clear: fight and be destroyed. Submit and survive. Yet humanity, to the surprise of many, did not become cruel conquerors. They did not wipe out cities or enslave species. The old ways of the alien empires, bloodshed and betrayal, were over. Instead, humans rebuilt what they had broken. Damaged trade stations were repaired. Starving planets received supplies. Borders were opened for peaceful travel. Where once empires hoarded wealth and power, humanity spread it evenly. But no one forgot what those giant warships could do, and no one dared test them again. Inside the Dominion, Commander Rain held a final meeting with his top officers. "The galaxy is watching," he told them. "It fears us now. But in time, they'll forget. They'll start to believe the old lies again." He glanced at the holomap showing the positions of the Titan warships, still spread like silent sentinels across the galaxy. "When that happens," Rain continued, "we'll remind them. Not with destruction, not with war, but with strength. We'll lead this galaxy the right way, because no one else ever did." His officers nodded. "Long live the Dominion fleet," one whispered. "Long live humanity," said another. Rain turned back to the viewing window. A galaxy lay before them, not conquered, but calmed. Not enslaved, but silenced. And out there, in the darkness, the Titan-class warships remained, watching, waiting. A single message was broadcast to every planet, station, and ship. The galaxy belongs to no empire, no species, no council. It belongs to those strong enough to protect it. Humanity will be that shield. On distant worlds, children grew up hearing tales of the great human warships. Of thee, they the stars themselves trembled. They called it the day of the Titans dot, and they knew one truth. You could laugh at humans. You could underestimate them. But you would only do it once. The new age had begun, and it wore a human face. Shadows Beyond the Stars. Bonus unique part. Months had passed since the Great Surrender. The galaxy had grown quiet. Trade routes reopened. Borders were calm. No one dared challenge the new human rule. Titan-class warships drifted like silent gods above planets, their weapons still armed, though rarely fired. Every species lived under the watchful eye of humanity, but in the cold edges of the universe, farther than even the dead zone, something else stirred. It began with the disappearance of Titan-class warship Raven's Hold. One moment, it was stationed near the outer edge of the galaxy. The next, all contact was lost. No distress call, no wreckage. Just silence. Inside the Dominion's command room, alarms flashed red. Commander Rain Carter stared at the empty space on the holonap where Raven's Hold should have been. Scan the area, Rain ordered sharply. Find that ship. The crew worked quickly, but no signal, no trace, no debris. It's gone, sir, one officer whispered. A cold knot formed in Rain's stomach. Nothing simply vanishes. Another alert appeared. A human deep space probe had picked up something strange in the unexplored. Reaches beyond the galaxy's rim. A structure. Massive. Older than anything recorded. It was bigger than a Titan warship. Its surface scarred, ancient, and alive with strange energy. The probe's final transmission showed a single image before it was destroyed. A symbol carved into the side of the structure. It wasn't human, and it wasn't from any known alien. Empire, a symbol of a closed eye. The message attached was simple. We have watched you long enough. Inside the Dominion, silence filled the room. Rain clenched his jaw. Prepare all Titan-class warships, he ordered, and alert every colony. We may have conquered this galaxy. His voice lowered, but we're not alone. Far beyond. The known stars, ancient shadows moved, creatures that once ruled before the galaxy was born. Forgotten gods. Dead empires that had slept for eons. And now, humanity's rise had awakened them. Asterisk.